owner Jenkin has written an article in The Guardian attacking the Treasury for holding back Brexit. Mr. Jenkin joins me now. I mean, before we come on to the Treasury, the opening line of your article is, "There is no intrinsic reason why Brexit should be difficult and damaging." I mean, is that an assertion or a fact?
It's a fact.
Why?
Well, if the EU and the UK were both agreed...
They're not.
Well, just a minute. We're both agreed that prosperity and jobs are the priority. Then everyone would prioritise that, and we'd make sure that there was a frictionless border. We'd make sure there was mutual recognition of standards as we establish a customs frontier. And the EU would have been talking to us from day one after the referendum about what kind of future trading relationship we should have. Just remember this. 23rd of June last year, we had the referendum. The EU said, oh, we can't possibly negotiate with you until you've triggered Article 50. So we triggered Article 50. And then they say, well, we can't discuss any long-term relationship with you until you've cleared up this, this and this. So we've been discussing this, this and this. And the Prime Minister finally goes to Florence, makes a very emollient and conciliatory speech, which is welcomed. And President Macron still says, oh, we still can't discuss the long-term relationship between you.
Well, hang on, I think
they're just digging in.
Well, I think there are two ways of looking at this. One is that we had a general election in between and we didn't publish any position papers on the key points.
No, but they have...
until a year later as well, as they did. So,
they have refused to negotiate with us.
It's the old story that it takes two to tango.
No, but they're still refusing to discuss.
Are
you denying this?
No, hang on.
They're still refusing to discuss our long-term trading relationship.
We proposed that everything should be discussed at once.
Yeah.
They said it won't be discussed at once. They wanted a two-phase process, a divorce and then future relations. And we accepted that. We have complied with that.
Well, I think we've been trying to be as emollient and cooperative as we possibly can.
We accepted that process.
But we don't seem to be rewarded much for that. I mean, Theresa May says, yes, we will consider helping you with the European budget in the Florence speech. And they say, oh, well, that's not good enough. You've got to put billions and billions and billions of money on the table.
They haven't actually said that.
Well, actually, they have. They keep talking. They've talked about as much as 100 billion euros.
They said they don't expect to agree a figure until the end of the process.
No, they've been talking about 100 billion euros.
But anyway, let's leave all this aside. I mean, the point is that the British government is now talking about an implementation phase or a transition phase, when they're saying most of our economic relationship with the European Union would stay in place. Are you content with that?
Well, it depends what the arrangement is that we're heading for. It seems to me you can only have and the Prime Minister says this too, you can only have an implementation period if you know what you're implementing. And there's no point in... it seems that the CBI and the City and other people are suing for a long transition period, but without focusing on what the long-term relationship's actually going to be.
I mean, the engines of the economy, the CBI and also
well, they're
the City.
not actually.
The City is?
No, it's one of our biggest foreign exchange earners, but there are plenty of people in the City who are getting fed up with this protracted stalling that's going on at the moment.
But a lot of people would just say that you campaign for a vision of Brexit, and it just has sadly turned out, we're just hearing from Ireland, much more complicated than you thought it was or said it was going to be.
No, in the City there are people agitating for trying to remain in the customs union for as long as possible, and we are going to finish up at this rate with the EU still instructing us what laws to make and handing down court judgments and controlling our immigration policy and all that. We are going to be paying for the privilege.
That's politics, not economics, isn't it?
No, it is politics. But if the European Union is playing destructive politics and putting their own political point scoring above the prosperity of their own countries and the people that are employed in the industries that export to this country, who's responsible for that?
And where does the Treasury fit in this? The headline they put on your article, on Brexit, we just can't trust the Treasury. Do you agree with that?
Those are not my words.
No, I understand that.
I think it's very hard for officials to know what to do when there's a certain amount of disagreement in the Cabinet. And if you listen to someone like Sir Nick Macpherson, who is until recently the Permanent Secretary in the Treasury, and you hear how stridently pro-Remain his views are and how opposed to the government's policy he is. I feel that
but we had
Howard
Davies yesterday just saying, look, there's no two ways about it. There is going to be an economic price to pay for Brexit.
Well, that's his view. I remember being told...
He's entitled to it, isn't he?
Well, he's entitled to his view, but I actually don't think he's right. I think it's possible the EU is going to... I think they're going to try and impose a punishment Brexit on us. I think they need.
I mean, aren't you just really trying to turn this into a battle with Europe and the nasty EU, basically because it's a bit of a mess and you want someone to blame?
No. What I wanted and what will be delivered is the promises delivered in the referendum campaign that we will take back control over our laws, our borders and our money and the right to make trade deals with third countries. And the EU is finding this very, very hard to accept. And the way the EU is behaving is rather underlining why so many people voted to leave the EU.
Would it help if Philip Hammond was sacked?
This isn't about personalities. The Prime Minister is entitled to impose her will on her cabinet, and she should use the authority of her office to do so.
Well, that's not a no, is it?
It's up to the Prime Minister, who she has in her cabinet.
You wouldn't be bothered if
I am not advocating anybody be appointed or sacked. I'm only interested in the policy.
No, but you're attacking the Treasury. The man in charge of the Treasury is Philip Hammond. Should he go?
I think the Treasury has got a mindset that is very pro-Remain.
Including the Chancellor.
No, I think the Chancellor, I'm not talking about the Chancellor, I'm talking the Treasury as an institution has got a very Remain mindset. But they were very discredited after the referendum when their dire forecasts didn't come true. We were meant to have another 500,000 unemployed by now, and employment's carried on growing.
Would it be better if Boris Johnson was Prime Minister?
I'm very happy with Theresa May, and Theresa May has my total and unqualified support.
But if Boris took over, it wouldn't be a problem.
Look, I know the media always want to turn this into a soap opera about personalities. Why don't you actually deal with the issues?
Well, those are the people we vote for, you see. That's the point.
Well, the policy is to leave the European Union and to negotiate the best possible deal. Unless we're prepared to plan for no deal and spend money on being prepared to leave without a deal in 2019, then the EU's got us over a barrel. And I think the Prime Minister is going to make that clear today, that we're not over a barrel.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.